Welcome back to Listen to the Words. I almost stopped recording by accident. So we gotta get used to this thing again. It's been too long.
Yeah.
But so this week's episode, we're not even gonna go dive into how was your week and all that fun stuff because we got stuff to talk about.
We do.
We got important stuff to talk about.
We do.
So this week's episode is being released on the 1 year anniversary of me finishing chemo.
Mm-hmm.
So as you may or may not know, I keep getting text messages for job offers.
So do I.
And it's like, I'm not going to make what I make. So I'm like, then why even bother? And I say, no, thanks.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, we could send you the information. I'm like, no, I don't need to know what you gave me. Thank you, but no thanks.
I had a person send me this like long text about a job offer. And all I wrote was, don't send me long texts.
Yeah,
and then I put delete report junk.
Like, leave me alone.
Like, I don't want
Like,
this.
I don't need a job.
Yeah.
Like, I have a job. I'm quite content with my job. So leave me alone. But anyway, so it's the 1 year anniversary of me finishing chemo. So we're going to dive into, we could do like a quick little synopsis as to what happened, how it happened, all the things that happened. Hopefully nobody hears the AC going because it's going right now. I put it at 73, so it's going to get Arctic in here in a minute.
Well, it's a good thing you have a sweatshirt over here. I can put it on my legs or something.
It's going to get Arctic in here shortly. But so November of 2023, the Tuesday before Thanksgiving, me and you were just, well, let's talk about, no, we'll dive into the story and then we'll talk about the history, what kind of cancer I had.
Okay.
So we'll get to that point. So the Tuesday before Thanksgiving, which was November, insert date here, I forgot what it was, in 2023. You were watching TV. Sophia was next door with my mom, I think it was.
Yeah.
And I was watching a YouTube video.
We were having a little date night, like at home, just the two of us.
And so I was watching YouTube. I was watching, of course, a Joe Santagato video. He's always involved. God, Joe.
Yeah. It's all Joe's fault.
Joe, come on the show. But anyway, I'm watching a Joe Santagato video, and I start laughing hysterically. Like, I mean, the clip was really funny. It was a am I the a-hole type situation.
Yeah.
About this guy who kicked a little kid because the little kid was shooting at cats with a BB gun.
Yeah.
So the adult kicked the kid, made him cry.
Yeah.
And so at one point, Joe says, I would have taken the BB gun and just shot the kid with the BB gun. This was for mittens. Pop, pop, pop. So I started laughing hysterically. And I couldn't catch my breath. So I leaned forward to try to catch my breath. And by leaning forward, I face planted onto my face.
You literally cut off your circulation.
I cut off the circulation. I just fell on my face and knocked out for a split second. So before all this happened, I had noticed a couple of times I would feel like a little sensation, like there was something stuck in my throat. It's like you have a piece of, I don't know, lettuce or food stuck in your throat. You go, and it's gone.
Right.
So
you drink some water.
You drink some water in it, and it goes away.
It goes down.
So I figured that was just that. But after I fainted, that sensation was just stuck there.
Yeah.
Like I felt like I dislodged something. It was just stuck in my throat, and I'm like, nothing.
Yeah.
It was just constantly there, and I was like, man, this sucks.
Yeah.
But my face was all banged up. I had 2 black eyes. Forehead was all bashed up. I didn't go to work for a few days.
Yeah.
I told my boss, I was like, hey, I banged up my face. I can't make it to the office.
Yeah.
So a few days go by. We went to the movies that week. I forgot what we went to go see. And then come Sunday, you and I was in bed, and apparently this is where you need to take over the story because I don't remember I don't remember any of what's happened next.
So backing up a little bit, when you originally face planted, your face got, like, I looked over because you were just hysterical laughing, and I looked over and I was in the process of saying, "Hun, are you okay?" And like, what is so funny? And your face was just beet red, and you weren't responding to me. And I was like in panic mode at that point. And then all of a sudden you just like, you looked like, to me, you looked like you were having a heart attack because you started shaking all of a sudden and then you face planted. And
fortunately for us, we had an L-shaped couch that caught me.
Right.
I bounced off that and kind of slid off of it and then hit my face.
Right.
Because if I had gone head first into the floor, I would have broken my glasses, broken my teeth, broken my nose, everything.
Yeah.
So the couch saved me. from major damage.
Right. And you still like you said, you still ended up with a big goose egg on your head, on your forehead. I think your glasses cut, or you somehow
cut my bridge of my nose.
The bridge of your nose a little bit, but you popped up really quickly, like within seconds, and you were alert and talking and everything, and you were fine.
Yeah. Also, what's going on? And I just felt blood on my face. I'm like, uh-oh.
Yeah. And I, on the other hand, was hysterical. So then fast forward to the weekend. We went to bed, and you were constantly clearing your throat, and so then we finally went to sleep, and then all of a sudden I felt like your weight on me. So I was sleeping on my side and I was facing you, and I felt your weight on me. So I woke up. You had fallen backwards on me because I guess you had gotten up because, a lot of the times you get up to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. So you were getting up, in the process of getting up to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
So you got up, and all of a sudden, you fell back on me. And what I came to realize later was that you were making this gurgling sound, and I was trying to push you off of me and wake you up at the same time, and I just realized your jersey matches your microphone.
That's how I roll.
With the black too, the lines.
I'm having to put on socks because I'm cold.
It matches the shoulders of your jersey.
That's how I roll.
Anyways,
my microphone's orange, and I'm wearing a bright orange jersey.
Yeah. So I'm trying to push you off of me. I'm like, "Hun, wake up." And so then finally, after a couple seconds, you come to.
I don't remember any of this. I don't remember any of this.
Yeah. So then
I'll let you guys know at what point I remember stuff.
You sit up and you say something. You say to me in Spanish.
Because you're fluent in Spanish.
Right. Yeah. That you're sleeping. And I'm like, what? I was just like, huh? And then, so I'm just watching you. I'm like, that's weird because you don't do that. And because you don't sleepwalk. It was like you were sleepwalking. But you don't sleepwalk.
Yeah.
You don't sleep talk. You moan in your sleep.
Yeah.
But, so anyways, so then you get up to go walk to the bathroom, and I'm just watching you because I was like, what the heck just happened? And all of a sudden I see you just fall backwards and collapse into the
hamper.
Laundry hamper. And, so, immediately I was like, all right, something's wrong. And so I rush over to you, and you're just lethargic, just kind of bobbing your head around and can't keep your eyes open, and you can't sit up or anything, so you just lay back down on the floor. I'm like, all right, I have to call paramedics because this is not normal. Something is obviously wrong. So I call them and give them our address and everything. Meanwhile, Sophia is asleep. Came to find out later she heard everything.
Yeah.
So she's in her room, and so this is 2:30 in the morning. And so I call paramedics, and I give them, our information and tell them what's going on. And so they're like, okay, we're going to send somebody over there. So then immediately I call your brother. He doesn't no, I called your mom. She didn't answer because everybody's asleep.
Yeah.
Called your brother. He answered. And I said, hey, I need you to come over here because Andre just collapsed, and I've called 911 and they're on their way, and I need somebody to stay with Sophia and the dogs. Because I didn't know what was going to happen.
Yeah.
So he, I guess, went and got your mom up because the next thing I knew, she was knocking on the door. And then I called 911 again because I was like, because they hadn't shown up yet. And I know that there's a fire department right down the road.
Literally 45 seconds away.
And I'm like, it should not be taking this long.
Yeah.
You know? So they were like, yeah, they're on the way. They should be pulling up, you know, in a minute. I said, okay. So while I was on the phone, that's when your mom had like knocked on the door and everything. So I let her in. And by that time, you were kind of coming around.
I don't remember any of that.
By the time
I came to with the paramedic over me, and I'm like, whoa, what just happened? Don't remember any of it.
Yeah, so a few minutes after your mom got here, then the paramedics came, and so I brought them in. They brought the stretcher in, and they, you know, the guys saw your face. I told them what happened before I brought them into the bedroom. And so one of the paramedics, you know, they took your blood pressure and everything, and I guess by that time it had normalized.
Yeah.
You know, we briefly went through like medical history, like, no, he's not diabetic, doesn't have any, you know, not high blood pressure, no, you know, nothing like that.
Nothing crazy.
Nothing crazy. And so paramedics saw your two black eyes, and he was like, well,
did you hit him?
No. He's like, well, that's concerning. He's like, you could have broken something and maybe it didn't heal right. Because we told them that you had fainted a few days prior, but that you popped right up, you were fine. I wanted to take you originally when that happened. I wanted to call 911, and I wanted to take, because that wasn't normal.
Yeah.
But since you were talking and you were acting normal, I was like, all right, we'll just let it go. So then, so he's like, all right, well, we're gonna, you know, go ahead and take you to the hospital, just get you checked out, make sure that there's nothing broken or anything. So I had never been to, we ended up going to the emergency room at Pelham.
Yep.
Which is part of Spartanburg Regional Hospital System. I had never been there, so I didn't know where it was. So the paramedic was just like, well, I said, do I need to ride with you in the ambulance? And he was like, no. He's like, just follow us in your car, and that way you'll have a car, you know, if you need. And he's like, you know, he's alert and everything, so we're not gonna, you know, do lights and sirens.
Yeah. So let's speed it up a little bit, because now we're going to be we're not here for 2 hours. So we get in there. This is where I'm alert. I'm talking to the guy in there. We're talking about pizza. He's from New York, yada, yada, yada. So we get to the ER, and they run some blood tests. They're like, oh, we can't find anything. We're going to do a CT scan. I said, okay, cool. We're going to do a CT scan of your head. They just did my skull pretty much to make sure I didn't crack my skull open.
CT. Yeah.
And I kept telling them, I feel like there's something stuck in my throat. And they're like, well, okay, we'll go back. The CT came back clear. I didn't have a concussion. I didn't break anything in my face. So I was like, hey, I have this sensation in my throat, and I feel like there's something there. They do a CT scan. They bring me back in. The first one I went in fine. The second one, they pumped that stuff in me, and I was like, I feel nauseous. I'm going to throw up, and I'm going to piss myself. I don't know why. Just all those sensations came upon me.
It's just everything happened at once.
Yeah, so they did the CT scan. They came back, and they said, we found a mass in your chest. I was like, what? Okay.
Yeah.
So they said I forgot how big it was.
It was 11 centimeters.
Decent size. Yeah.
Roughly 11 centimeters.
So I was like, okay, what does that mean? So the ER doctor came in and said, hey, that's usually lymphoma.
Yeah.
I said, what's lymphoma? Never heard of it in my life.
Yeah.
Cancer. Oh, crap. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And also by this time you had called my boss and you were in communication with the guy.
Yeah.
Chris went above and beyond. And I mean, by 8:00, all the paperwork is signed. I mean,
yep.
Everything was ridiculous.
He's like, I'm going to get you, you know, he kept texting me and was like, I'm going to get you in contact with this person in HR, and we're going to get started on, you know, the paperwork.
Yeah.
Because I told him, by that time I had said, this is what the doctor is telling us.
Yeah.
And so he's like, we're going to, you know,
get
you on medical leave.
Yeah. It was,
because
everything was by 8:00 that morning. We were in the ER at 2:30. By 8:00 in the morning, literally everything was set up.
Yeah, I had like faxed the paperwork back over. Like one of the nurses had helped me send everything back, and
it was insane how quick. I mean, goes to show you the company I work for and my boss is just the best human being on this planet.
Yeah.
But anyway, so they were like, "Hey, we need to do a biopsy on this thing." The head guy, the dude that does this is in Spartanburg Regional, which is not a hospital I want to go to because
it's an older hospital. It's not a bad hospital.
No,
it's just an older hospital. It needs to be updated, which they are in the process of.
And the location, I don't know, for some reason where it's located just bums me out. It's just, I don't know. But anyway, we have to transfer you over there. I'm like, oh, great, cool.
So I want to explain why we had to do that though.
Yeah.
Because of where this mass was in your chest, it's called the mediastinum. And so basically it was pushing on your heart and your lungs.
Yeah.
So because of where that mass was, they needed a cardiothoracic surgeon. Yeah. And unfortunately, the cardiothoracic surgeon did not come to Pelham.
No.
He was only at Regional. Yep. And his actual office is like right down the hill from Regional, from the heart center.
So I was like, okay, so what does this biopsy entail? Because I've seen biopsies before with my mom when she had thyroid cancer, and my cousin also. There's just a needle that goes in. All right, cool. That should be all right. They're like, no.
Yeah.
They're going to have to go in through your chest and deflate one of your lungs and then cut into it. And then I was like, what? Yeah. They're like, it's a surgical procedure. I'm like, I've never had surgery in my life before.
Yep. Never been in the hospital before.
Yeah. So it's like, first time hospital, we're going to go big.
Right.
We're going to go big. So we go to the hospital. They transfer me over there. I have a couple of fainting spells again because A, anxiety, B, this thing's in my chest.
For the most part, it was severe anxiety. Yeah. Because it happened to you when you were with the anesthesiologist at one point.
For one of my surgeries.
For that surgery.
Yeah, the biopsy.
And
I blacked out. I was like, I gotta go.
Yeah.
I literally told him, I'm leaving.
And now granted, he was sticking needles in your arm, but IVs.
Yeah.
But you were talking about Sophia. You were talking about your family and everything. So it wasn't like you were talking about this. You were talking about happy stuff. And because I was sitting there just watching. And so that's when he got on the phone with the doctor and he was like, I really think what's happening with this fainting is it's just severe anxiety.
Yeah.
Because like you said, it was a lot all at once.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and fast forward some more. So 8 days later, 2 surgeries later. No, after this surgery, I was supposed to get out. The surgery was I got in there Monday morning. Had surgery on Wednesday for the biopsy. I was supposed to get out Thursday.
Right.
That didn't happen because my lung collapsed.
Yep.
After I got out, my lung collapsed. So that bought me another 3 days.
Yep.
At the hospital. And in all this meantime, my best friend Jose, when he found out I was in the hospital, made arrangements to fly out and be with me. Mm-hmm. He flew in. He was there for me. My boss showed up with the owner of one of the owners of the company. Mm-hmm. My mom was there every day. Sophia was there every day. My brother. I mean, everybody.
Your aunts.
My aunts flew in from Florida.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just all hands on deck while I was in the hospital.
Yep.
I finally get out of the hospital. Still have no answers because when they found out the biopsy, inconclusive.
Yeah.
Still no answers. But at that point, I had lost a significant amount of weight because I couldn't swallow anything because of this stupid thing in my chest. So they finally noticed that this lymph node on my neck was swollen.
Yeah.
And they're like, we're going to do a biopsy on that. So I went for a follow-up appointment on Friday, the following Friday. Hey, we're going to do this thing on Monday. And I was like, wait, what? But
because, I had said, let's just get it over with. We need to know what's going on because this is not normal behavior. This is,
I'm sorry.
There's something serious here. So I was like, let's just go ahead and do it and get it over with. And so they said, everybody was leaning toward cancer because when the biopsy came back of the mass that said it was normal, we knew that was wrong.
Yeah.
So.
And even the surgeon was like, yeah, there's something else in there.
Yeah, there's something going on.
Yeah.
And so, so they were like, since we're leaning toward cancer, and our surgeon had dealt with cancer patients before. Yeah. He said, so I'm going to send it off, put a rush on it, and when it comes back, if it says cancer, then I'm just going to go ahead and put a port in your chest
Yeah.
while you're in there.
Which would have been amazing.
Which would have been great. But the results came back and it said
inconclusive
again.
So he had to send
it to another lab to get the results.
And so we got the results 2 days later.
Yeah.
And they're like, it's cancer.
Yeah.
And it's cancer. It's
a
stage. Well, no, we didn't know the staging yet. So it was like, it's lymphoma.
Yeah.
So we had to schedule another surgery. So I think the surgery was the following Monday again.
It was January 6th. No.
That was chemo. That was
chemo. It was like the following
Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah, it was the following Monday.
So it was like, so by that time I go into the surgery room. I told the anesthesiologist and the nurses, I was like, hey, do I get a punch card? Because I've been here so many times in the last 3 weeks. And they're like, no. But anyway, I go in there. So for surgery number 1, I was really anxious. I took a Xanax, I think, and they knocked me out. I go into the room.
They gave you something.
Yeah, I go into the room. I've never been to OR before, so I see all these bright lights above me. And it freaks me out. They're like, hey, what kind of music do you listen to? Can we play you a song? I tell them play them When We Were Young by Adele, because I love Adele. I hear a nurse singing. I swear she was black. We find out she was the whitest of the whitest. After like 2 surgeries later, I find out it was just a white nurse with a black mask, I guess.
Yeah, I guess.
But anyway, so fast forward, they find out it's cancer. We get fast tracked. You're gonna meet with a hematologist oncologist. You're gonna get started. You're gonna get this, and this, and this. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I'm like, what is happening? Can I breathe?
Nope.
Like 2 minutes, please. But anyway, so we get the port surgery in. Okay, cool. We get that in. I don't remember anything. I get wheeled. They start wheeling me into the OR. I pass out before I even get into there. I don't remember anything.
Yeah.
I just remember telling the guys pushing me in to look both ways before crossing the street. I'm like, hey guys, look both ways before crossing the street. And they laughed and I'm like, ha, nailed it. And then I was out. Don't remember anything about that. I came back too on my recliner here. I don't remember anything. Apparently my dad carried me into the car and
he helped you. Like they wheeled you right up to the car because I pulled it around because it was outpatient surgery.
Yeah.
But I wheeled you, or I drove the car around. They wheeled you right up to the door of the car, and your dad and the guy that was wheeling you was pushing the chair. He helped.
They loaded me up, and I got home. I woke up, and I was like, "Oh, where am I?" Okay, cool. So I had to do more testing to make sure my heart and my lungs were good enough to get chemo. I almost blacked out during my lung test.
Well, you had already had your echo in the hospital,
Yeah.
So. The doctor was fine with that. The oncologist was fine with those results. But it was your lung test.
My lung test, I almost blacked out during that. And the nurse there thought I had COPD.
Yeah, or like that you were a smoker or something.
And I was like, no, look at my file. She goes, oh, you have a mass in your chest. I was like, yeah, that's what's probably killing me. Because you have to blow out, and I blew out too much, and I literally almost blacked. I was like, I'm leaving. And they're like, wait, what?
Yeah.
So anyway, fast forward. I start chemo January 16th of 2024. So we read all about this stuff about what to bring with you to chemo and what to expect.
They were like,
what to expect when you're expecting chemo.
Right. And I asked the girl when she called to like set everything up.
I'm cold.
To put it on,
Are you cold?
I'm okay, but put it on like 75 or something.
Now that I have the Wi-Fi connected to it, it's amazing.
Oh, fancy. But yeah, so I asked the person that called and to set up everything with your first session. I was like, how long should we expect to be there for? So I know like what I need to expect. Yeah, what to expect and what do I need to bring.
And they told us 8 hours.
Yeah, they said like 7 to 8 hours. I was like, holy crap! Like
it's
what
an
the
all-day
heck?
session. Yeah.
Like how many drugs are you giving him?
So we roll up. Kelly has 2 bags.
So I have like 5 bags with me.
I have a backpack and so I'm sitting in the waiting room and an angel literally came into my life. Her name was Emma. She was in for chemo. She had been doing several sessions, so she saw that I was really bugging out. So she talked to me and she calmed me down. I mean, Emma was what the universe felt like I needed at that point in time.
Yeah.
And the big guy upstairs, he put her there.
Yeah.
She calmed me down. She brought me down because I was like losing my mind.
Yeah.
I got hooked up. She kept checking in on me every so often. She would walk by. Are you okay? I'm like, oh, this woman has breast cancer. She's worried about me.
Yeah.
I'm like, come on, lady. But she walks by. She keeps checking on me, and it was just amazing. So she became my chemo buddy. So every 2 weeks, she had to go every week. I had to go every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Just enough time to feel all right and then get knocked down again.
Yeah.
Because day of chemo, you feel like crap. You're just exhausted. You leave. I didn't work those days. Well, I didn't work for several months.
Yeah.
But first day of chemo, you feel like trash. The next 2 days, you're amazing.
Yeah.
You're flying high because of the steroids finally kick in. You're like, yeah, I'm back to my old self.
But now
kicking
not
back.
everybody gets steroids.
Yeah.
Only, I think it's just certain
Only the special boys.
Only certain cancers.
Yeah.
So because we have a friend that had a different kind of cancer and he didn't realize, like he was like, what do you mean steroids?
Yeah.
So
but then the crash would be on the weekends.
Yeah.
The nasty crash. And then you start getting better. The mouth sores would kick in on the Friday. The body aches. I mean, it was just a mess.
Yeah.
But so we went through that for 7 months.
Yeah.
I was supposed to finish in June, but we had a couple delays because my white blood counts would just tank and be nasty, and I wouldn't feel right. It just
and when they get to a certain point, you run the risk of infection.
Yep. And infection leads to potential death or hospital stays.
Right. And so we were trying to avoid that at all costs.
Yep.
And even the doctor, he was like, nope. He's like, your levels are too low.
Yep.
Now, there were times that your levels were a little low, but you were feeling fine.
Yeah, so we pushed through.
So we pushed through.
But sometimes when I had the levels were really down, I could feel it. That I was like, I can't do it today.
Yeah.
I literally can't do it.
So, but we had a great nurse. She had
another angel.
She had cancer.
Nurse Christy.
So she understood what you were going through. And what I loved about her, and I'm sure the other nurses do it too, but what she did was before she even started anything, she asked if we had any questions. Mm-hmm. And really if you had any questions.
And she gave me the best advice out of everything.
Yeah.
She said, do not read anything online. Everybody's journey is different. Mm-hmm. Because if you start putting ideas in your head, you're going to go crazy.
Yes.
She's like,
and you had already started doing that.
So what I did, anytime I felt something, I would tell you and you'd look into it and then you would address it with the doctor if it needs to be addressed.
Right.
And I didn't go down any rabbit holes.
Right. So for anybody going through something like this, that's what I suggest. Have somebody that you trust that knows you and knows what you can handle.
Yeah.
And have them help you through it because you need a support system for sure.
Yeah. And it sucks when you walk by those bays, you see so many people in there that are by themselves. And I was like,
But, I got to thinking about that. There might be some people that are just like, I don't want anybody to see me like this.
Yeah, that's true too.
But
sometimes you need somebody there with you because it's just so...
Yeah, but then a lot of the times people are sleeping during it.
This is true. Emma would fall asleep.
So, so it's like... I get it. Like, you don't really want to feel like you're wasting somebody's time, I guess, in a sense.
Makes sense. But I couldn't drive after that. I couldn't see, like, the sun hurt me.
Yeah. It hurt me.
It really did. I couldn't see. I mean, when we left chemo, I would have to cover my face and my eyes because I couldn't see. It hurt.
Well, unfortunately, I say fortunately, but it was really during like winterish time, so it wasn't too hot
until May. It started getting toasty.
Yeah, so you were wearing long sleeves.
Yeah.
To chemo,
and it's Arctic cold in the chemo facility.
Yeah,
so
it is, and and then when you lose weight
and your hair.
Yeah, so
also well, we failed to mention that we could just talk about Dr. Buck, hematologist, oncologist. I had told him, hey, when do I lose my hair? What if I don't? And I said, what if I don't lose my hair? He goes, you'll lose it. And I was like, no, but doc, what? Well, no. He's like, no, stop. He's like, you will. And I was like, but he's like, just stop. He goes, after the second session, it's going to start going. And I was like, we'll see about that, doc. After chemo session number 2, it was coming out in clumps in the shower. And I was like, this sucks.
But you had cut it beforehand because you just wanted to go ahead and get it over with.
No,
you did.
Did I? Okay, I don't remember now.
You cut it. You did it like a buzz cut.
Mm-hmm.
So that way it wasn't bald, but it was short enough that it wasn't going to be so drastic, because I think that's what gets people.
Yeah.
is when they have a full head of hair and they don't cut it short enough.
Especially my hair
beforehand.
now.
Yeah.
Losing that would have been brutal.
It can be devastating.
Yeah.
Even though hair grows back.
Yeah.
It's a devastating thing.
But I did lose my eyebrows.
Yeah.
I lost my eyebrows. Maybe
Yeah.
my eyelashes. I don't remember. But my barber, my local barber, he did the buzz for me.
Yeah.
It was a nice little moment because it was just the three of us in there. I don't think
Yeah.
anybody else was in there.
Yeah, I think it was just the three of us.
Just the three of us.
Yeah.
So it was a cool little moment with him.
Yeah.
And I asked for the friends and family cancer discount, so he charged me half price. I was expecting a full discount, but I guess he got to pay bills.
He's got bills to pay.
Yeah. But we went through that 7 months. So July 9th of 2024, I got to ring the bell. I mean, I felt like trashed.
Yeah.
And that's why I keep mentioning, I see a lot of videos of people like freaking doing cartwheels and doing jumping jacks and playing music. Like, yeah, let's dance. And the way I felt, I was like, get me the hell out of here. I'm
But
gonna go
again,
home.
chemo affects everybody differently.
And also, Doc had told me the last 4 are going to suck.
Yeah.
He's like, they are going to be the worst. And lo and behold, they were the worst.
Yeah. And that's because he said that the less cancer that cells that are in your body for the chemo to fight, the more it's attacking, because it's
The
poison.
good stuff, yeah.
You know, so it's attacking the good stuff too,
Yeah.
but they have to finish out all the sessions
Because I did
so that way you don't have to start over again.
Because I did ask during the midpoint PET scan, I'm like, hey, if it comes back clean, can I cut this sucker down? And it came back clean. There was very little evidence of cancer. There's still some, I mean, obviously, there's still stuff,
some in
but
there.
it was on the positive side.
Yeah.
But he goes, hey, we cut it short now. If it comes back at the end, we have to start all over again. And I was like, nope, let's just finish this sucker.
Yeah.
Let's just finish all 12
so
chemos.
as hard as it is,
Yeah.
you know, definitely if your doctor tells you to finish,
And Doc
don't argue with
Doc
them.
did not steer me wrong at all.
No.
Everything he said was going to happen happened.
Yep.
I mean, the guy's a professional. That's what he does for a living.
Yep.
So he knows what he's talking about. So I listened to every single thing he said. And as of now, I'm still alive.
Yep.
I'm still kicking around. And thanks to you, of course, because you helped me get out of bed half the time when I didn't want to go, dragged me there, dragged me to the bathroom when I couldn't go, helped me take a shower every day.
Yeah.
And fortunately, you didn't have to wipe my butt. That was a good thing. Thank you to the bidet.
Yeah.
Thank you to the bidet. But I mean, you went above and beyond, and it sucks that it happened 2 months after your dad had passed.
Yeah.
It was like, here's the biggest punch to your face ever. But then let me go ahead and kick you in the groin while we're here. So while you're down, let me just kick you in the face.
Let me just put you under.
Yeah. So it was a lot of heavy stuff, and I remember one point I was like, I just don't want to do this. Just let it just take me. I don't care about this crap anymore. And you were like, no, too bad.
Yeah.
You're gonna roll with this.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay.
Because the thing is that the doctors were like, you know, because when it was the head of the cancer center that called us, the main doctor,
The chief doctor that gives cancer center,
and he's the one that called, and he was like, he was all happy because
he thought it was something worse.
Because he's like, hey, he's like, if you're gonna get cancer, this is the one you want to get because it is curable and treatable.
Yeah.
So, you know, so I said, and then I had other people telling me, oh yeah, I know this person that had it and 30 years ago and they're still alive.
Yeah.
You know, they're doing great. You know, so it was like, I hadn't heard, I mean, I know there's, you know, a few, I'm sure, that it didn't end good for them. You know, and it happens. But I was like, if everybody's telling us that this is curable, then why would we not?
But I was just in a dark hole, just
no,
with
I know,
everything going
but
on.
that was my thinking.
Yeah.
Was that I understand you don't want to do this, but if it's curable, to me that's a no-brainer.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, you fight for as long as you can.
And also, I didn't want you and Sophia to see me in that state of. I mean, I dropped significant weight. I mean, you guys have always known me as a plus size supermodel, and then I dropped down to
plus size Jason Momoa,
and then I dropped down significantly. Had to use a cane
Yeah.
Had to wear a beanie cap all the time and wear a mask everywhere I went. If I left the house, whenever I did,
Yeah, which wasn't often.
wasn't often. I would kick you out from time to time to just get out of the house for a little bit.
Yeah.
But I didn't want her to see me with a cane. I'm like, and I told her from the beginning. I was like, I always want to be your Superman. And she's in typical Sophia fashion. She goes, Superman sucks. You're my Batman. I was like, word. It's my kid. But I mean, she stepped up, and unfortunately, she had to grow up. She had to miss part of her childhood because of all this crap.
Yeah.
So she had COVID, and then this.
Well, she didn't have COVID.
Well, I mean, we went through a pandemic.
A pandemic.
We went through a pandemic
for 2 years.
Two major deaths in the family.
Yeah.
And then me getting cancer. It was just like bam, 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 bam.
She had to grow up a lot faster than we wanted her to.
But that's life, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, it happens. It happened to you.
Yeah.
You know, so.
And we've always told her we're going to screw you up somehow. It's just, no parent gets away with unscathed.
So we try to just let her be a kid for as long as we can, you know, to some degree.
Yeah.
But she's a smart kid.
Yeah,
I mean,
she is.
You know, and she's very intuitive to.
Oh, and she did not leave my side at all. I mean, she's literally 7 months attached to the hip.
Yeah.
Attached to the hip. So, and whenever I went out, I would go on walks try to go on walks on a daily basis. She would just stay behind with me the entire time.
Yeah.
So, you're a good kid.
So it helped me too that it wasn't all on me.
Mm-hmm.
Like she helped a lot with that and did things that I needed her to do and just kind of took the initiative and just did it without even really being asked.
Yeah. And I mean, we had a good little system going. So you would make me breakfast. Mm-hmm. My mom would make me lunch, and then your mom would make me dinner.
Yeah.
I was spoiled. But
and then we had friends that would bring dinner and
but what sucked
food
is
too.
that I couldn't taste half the stuff.
Yeah.
So you guys were having you guys were having like gourmet stuff, and I'm just over here like, this tastes like cardboard. Yay! I have mouth sores. I'm not hungry.
Yeah. But,
I don't want to eat this.
You know, but you definitely have to eat because that's where you're gonna get your strength.
And I think me being a plus size supermodel Jason Momoa helped me out a lot because the drastic weight drop wasn't as bad. I mean, it was significantly noticeable when I lost all the weight. You could see the lump in my neck.
But it didn't make you look sickly.
No, and I think that's what. But I lost all my color. I went pale.
Yeah, and you were pale after your surgeries, and I asked, like, I whispered because I didn't want to freak you out, and so I kind of whispered to one of the nurses for one of the surgery. I was like, "Is that normal that he's that pale?" And she's like, "Yeah, it's normal."
Yeah. Okay.
So,
but after all said and done, I rang the bell. They did a cool little. The nurses had everybody was lined up. All the nurses came out and.
Yeah.
I really didn't want to make a spectacle of it. I didn't want to even ring the bell because I felt so bad for other people in there.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't want to do this because why do I get to skate? Why do I get to finish this chapter? And there's other people that are just starting or that have been there longer than me and still have to go through it. I didn't want to bring the focus to me.
Yeah.
But I forgot who told me.
It was the receptionist.
Was it the receptionist?
Debbie.
Someone told me, no, you're going to ring that bell because that gives them hope.
Yeah.
And I was like...
That it can be beat.
Yeah.
It can happen. Geez.
So I get out of my little chemo bay, and we failed to mention that one of our friends, Alex, works at the hospital, and he was there.
Yeah.
Every single time I was in the hospital, he was there.
He was
ER visit, multiple ER visits.
The very first ER visit.
Yeah. For every ER visit, every single chemo session, he was there with us.
Yeah.
He works there. He's one of the maintenance guys, but he was like, his boss was cool with him sitting with us for a little bit.
Yeah.
And thank you, Alex, for all that. It helped out a lot. And then also when I had to go to the ER for a fever, I mean, when they found out I knew Alex, I got fast. They put me on the VIP. First of all, I told them, hey, I have cancer. Oh, we got you your own room on the this whole wing for you. And they're like, you know Alex? Oh, fast track. I mean, it was just like boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
But so I get out of the little chemo bay. I walk out and there's I was expecting everybody to be downstairs in the lobby, but my entire family, except my dad, because he couldn't make it because we didn't know if, with my chemo sessions, we didn't know if it was actually going to take place or not.
Right.
So he's like, I don't know if I go down there and what if it doesn't happen? And
right.
And I understood. I respected that.
And it was in the summertime, and that's
busy work for him.
Busy work for him. So we didn't want him to miss, more work than what was necessary.
Yeah. So my aunts, my uncle, just my team from work, my boss, my old boss, an old manager from the company. I mean, it was just all these people just standing there, and they usually don't let them do it up there.
Yeah,
because they said they make you wait in the lobby, but apparently I make a great impression with everywhere I go. Everywhere I go, they love me, and apparently all the nurses fought to have me, but Christy won the lottery. So she just loved me that much that she wouldn't share me at all.
Yeah.
But
and it's good what you had said before, because I had even mentioned, well, why don't we change your chemo day to this day? It was something for when you went back to work. Well, so I was like, well, why don't we change it to this day? That way you have Friday, Saturday, Sunday to recoup, and Monday you work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And you were adamant, no, because I want to keep Christy, and because I can't control anything else but this.
Yeah, that's the only thing I could control. And Christy just made me feel. It's weird to say, but she made me feel at home. Yeah, she just made me. I mean, Christy's just
for at home as you can feel in that kind of place.
She knew what I was going through. She was sympathetic. So anyway, so I walk out of the bay. All my friends and family are there, and then all the nurses are behind me, and they're all ringing the bells too and clapping, and they give me a little set of balloons. So I go up to that bell, and I ring the hell out of that bell for a little bit, even though I look like death and I felt like death. And then I gave one of the other nurses that was always there for us. I forgot her name. I feel so bad. The black nurse. I can't remember her name.
Yeah, I don't remember her name. We've had so many nurses,
but anyway, she came and gave me a big old hug, and then I saw Christy, and I squeezed her tight, and I thanked her so much for everything. Yeah, hugged you, and then I had to go through the whole laundry list of people that were there and give them hugs. Yeah, and then when we're walking out, there was a couple out there in the waiting room to go in to get chemo. Yeah, and they congratulated me, and I remember telling them, "You got this. Yeah, you got this." And I would do that every chemo session. I would find someone to talk to and just keep them. I would just go to the bays and be like, "How are you?" Just crack a joke here and there. Yeah. There was a guy that was one day in the bay next to ours. We went to the bathrooms at the same time, and I was like, "I'll race you." And he just looked at me like, "What?" And he just laughed, and I was like, "All right, I'll race you." So we go in there, and when you get chemo, one of the drugs is I forgot what it's the A drug, and we call it the Red Devil. Because it's bright red. It's bright red. And you pee red for days. Yeah. So it sucks when you're peeing red and you're like, oh, I'm dying. But it's just the cancer getting flushed out. So he comes out, he beat me. He goes, beat you. And I was like, not next time, buddy. I'll beat you next time. But it made him laugh. And that's what I like to do, is to make people laugh. Yeah. So I told that couple on the way out, I'm like, hey, you got this and don't worry about it. And so we finished chemo on that day. And I was like, I want to go home now. Let's go home. Everybody's like, oh, it's so exciting. I was like, I want to go home. I went to go take a nap for 3 hours, which was those are the best naps. Those post chemo naps. Ugh. Yeah. But you had to come. I would text you. I'm like, come help me, because I couldn't get out of bed. Right. I literally couldn't move. I'm like, come help me. So.
Well, because your joints hurt, and you're weak from all the drugs that they've given you. Yeah. So you're just physically.
I won't go into the nitty gritty of all the drugs that they give you. They give you
exhausted.
But yeah, they pump 4 drugs into me, and one is 15 minutes, one is 10 minutes, one is 10 minutes, and the last one's an hour. Yeah. And yeah, it sucks. It sucks royally. Yeah. But yeah, then we finished the chemo, and
so far I've
had clean scans. Blood work's been good. Packed on some weight back. My hair grew back with a vengeance. I haven't cut my hair since July 9th of last year of 2024, so my hair is luscious. I was told yesterday.
Well, you have cut some of it.
Well, the sides, not the top. The sides,
yeah, not the top.
The top is still growing, and I was actually told yesterday I look like a Johnny Depp.
Yeah, geez.
She did say it.
I know she did, and I wish she had not said it.
She said it. She confirmed it. She confirmed it, because I have my goatee, and my hair was all slicked back, and she goes, oh, he looks like Johnny Depp. And I was like, I knew it. Had she said Pedro Pascal or Jason Momoa, it would have been a wrap.
Oh my gosh. That's who we were thinking. Because I told Anna Marie today at work that a friend had said, you look like Johnny Depp. And she's like, why did she do that? I was like, I don't know. And so she was like, yeah, it was Jason Momoa, now it's Johnny Depp. Oh, she was like, why does he think he looks like Johnny Depp? I said, because he's just delusional.
I did look like Johnny Depp yesterday. I admit it. In that picture I posted on Instagram, there's a slight resemblance. Okay. I'm a Latino Johnny. I'm Juan Depp. I'm Juanito Depp.
So we couldn't remember who the third one was.
Pedro
Now
Pascal.
I gotta text her and tell her it's Pedro Pascal was the third one.
We'll send her a picture of me with me. I'll make a little collage. I'll make a collage with all three of them, and then me in the corner. I got you.
Just you in the middle.
In the middle, and then just hit all of them around me.
Yeah.
But so clean scans, everything is good. I have another scan in September.
Yep.
In a few months, and yeah, it sucks. But it's gonna be a full one, which is the fun ones because it's a full.
It's gonna be a PET scan.
I have to go in there I have to take the entire day off because I have to be medicated for that one machine because it's just not fun at all.
Yeah.
You know what's the worst pain out of all that? When they test my blood sugar with the machine, they puncture my finger.
Oh, the little
that hurts beyond anything else.
I hate that. They used to do that at my gynecologist, and that's why my blood pressure would like spike every time I would go because that was the worst part of it. But then I think people started because they used to have us like pee in a cup too.
Yeah.
But then I think people started complaining because they kept getting charged for this stuff that really wasn't necessary for them to do. Like if I know I'm not pregnant, why are you testing my urine?
Yeah.
Like why are you checking it?
Yeah.
And why are you, pricking my finger when you don't do anything with blood?
Yeah.
Like,
so I was like, why when you said that, I was like, but okay, weird. But anyway, so once I get this, if I get a clean scan, doc is going to put me onto annual scans instead of every 6 months, which will be a major, major improvement. And we discussed it. Once that scan, if and when that scan comes back clean, my trusty port will be removed out of my chest.
Your reset button.
My reset button, my HDMI port will finally come out, and I can start anew.
Yeah.
A new chapter.
Yep.
So, and then hopefully after all that, we can go on our trip.
Yeah.
So if you take anything from this, Joe Santagato saved my life. The basement yard saved my life.
I mean, really, he did.
It's not even a joke.
I'm gonna make him a bear. It's
not even a joke. He literally saved my life because had I not laughed and fainted over that video, we would have gone 6-7 months and it would have been stage 4, stage 3. You never know.
Yeah.
So, Joe, thank you very much. Come on the show. All right. So let's talk about what kind of cancer I had. So pull up your trusty notes that I made.
Okay.
So what I had was classical Hodgkin lymphoma, or CHL, a cancer of the lymphatic system. And it's identified by the presence of something called the Reed-Sternberg cell, which are large abnormal lymphocytes.
That's a big word.
I know, and I nailed it too.
Yeah, you
nailed
did.
it. So it's actually one of the most treatable cancers, like you said earlier, especially if you catch it early on. So
you were stage 2.
So Joe, thank you for that.
Yes.
So I thank Joe more than my oncologist. No, I don't. Not at all. No. And it usually affects younger people.
Joe is second.
Yeah. It usually affects younger people between the ages of 15 and 35, which I don't know how I was fortunate. I should have played the lottery while I was in there. Because I was 39 when I got diagnosed. And it's funny because I had chemo the day of my birthday when I turned 40, and they gave me they give you a wristband for every chemo. Was it a wristband? It's a bracelet.
It's a hospital bracelet, basically.
So every time I would go, it would say 39 years, and all of a sudden on my day of my birthday, it's like 40, and I was like, can you guys not put that on there? like please? And they're like, it's your birthday today? I'm like, yeah.
Like, this is hard enough as it is. I don't need that added to it.
I'm here on my birthday I'm doing chemo. Why not? Why not? So there's actually 4 main subtypes of classical Hodgkin lymphoma: nodular sclerosis, which is the most common one; mixed cellularity. I messed that up.
Cellularity.
Yeah, that. Lymphocyte rich, lymphocyte depleted. So
which one did you have?
I believe I had the first one.
Yeah.
See, so I stopped reading all the documents because there's so many big words. So I was like,
we're just going to put
I know classical Hodgkin lymphoma stage 2.
Right.
And then all these other words next to it, I'm like, sure.
Yes.
I have cancer. Thank you. So people actually discovered it by having swollen lymph nodes in the neck, armpits, groin, and other symptoms include night sweats, fatigue, unexplained weight loss, persistent fever, itchy skin. I didn't have any of those except for I was always tired. I thought I was just getting older and whatever.
Right. Yeah. It wasn't like an abnormal tired.
No.
And even so lymphoma is a type of blood cancer. So you would expect that your white cell count or something in your blood would be elevated or really, really low. Something would be different. The only thing that was different with yours was that your white cell count was 1 point high.
Yeah.
So nothing that was going to cause alarm. What caused alarm was the mass in your chest.
Yeah, and then the swollen lymph node on my neck.
Yeah, but we didn't know about the swollen lymph node until later. So yeah, because even the nurses in the heart center were like, "What the heck, man? Like nothing's wrong. All your blood tests were coming back, positive,
in the sense of."
Like
they were good.
Everything was coming back negative.
Everything was okay.
Like negative for anything wrong.
Yeah.
So it was just.
But anyway.
Yeah.
So, diagnosis usually involves a biopsy, which I had 2 of them. Imaging tests like CT or PET scan, I've had all those, and blood work.
Had that.
I had blood work was constant. I mean,
yeah, that was just
it was nonstop
every morning at 5:00 at the hospital.
So tell us about the treatment and survivability.
So the good news with CHL is that it's not only treatable, it's curable. So a lot of people go into complete remission with chemo, radiation, or a combination of both. You fortunately only had to have chemotherapy. You did not have to have radiation like some people do. I know like with breast cancer patients, a lot of the times they have chemo and radiation. So not every cancer is the same, and neither is the treatment.
And which we didn't know until we got involved in this, because we always heard chemo and we thought it was just a one-stop shop for everything, and it's not. Everybody gets their own cocktail.
And really, you're not going to know that unless you're going through it, or unless you're a doctor, or a nurse that's specifically treating cancer.
Yeah.
So any, regular Joe Schmo is not going to know any of this.
Exactly.
So the common treatment for lymphoma is the drugs A, B, V, D, which is
a dry-mycin, which is we call it the red devil because it's bright red and it's awful. And the bleomycin, that's the one that gave me the really bad handshakes and destroys your lungs. So after a couple of chemo sessions, my levels regulated and they knocked that off completely.
So that's another reason why you had to have that lung test, was because they needed to see what your lungs were at. They needed a baseline before they gave you the bleomycin, because it affects your lungs. They didn't. If your lungs were already bad, they didn't want to then give you
murder me.
Yeah, that drug on top of it. So when you were starting to get, better, I think it was after that first PET scan.
Yeah. I got 4 sessions in.
Yeah. After that first PET scan, after chemo had started, when you were having handshakes real bad and you were getting some neuropathy in your fingertips.
Yeah, I couldn't feel anything. And then Velcro actually pierced my skin.
Yeah. So the doctor said, okay, I'm going to cut it in half or cut it down a little bit and see if that helps. And so, and then that did. And then eventually he
took it off completely.
Yeah, he cut that drug out completely because you didn't really need it anymore, and he didn't want to damage your lungs anymore than they probably were already getting.
Yep. Then the vinblastine and then the dacarbazine.
Yeah. So, and then they have newer immunotherapies for more resistant cases. Fortunately, yours was only stage 2, and it had not spread anywhere else at this point. And, so it was pretty easy.
Yeah.
Centrally located.
Exactly.
We didn't have to worry about having to do anything else. So.
And then...
So survival rates, according to the Leukemia Lymphoma Society, or the LLS, the 5-year relative survival rate for early stage CHL can be over 90%.
Yep. Doc told us 95, and I just kept focusing on the 5.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm going to die. Sorry.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.
So, yeah.
So during this whole thing, the most important thing is having a good support system in place, because anxiety, obviously, you want to mute that? Yeah. Anxiety of the unknown, the anxiety of this, we call it scanxiety because you don't scanxiety.
Yeah.
The physical toll of it all, and the fear of relapse, which is a never-ending thing in my head, wondering when is it coming back. If I feel something, if I burp, I'm like, oh no, there it is.
Yeah.
But you just have to have a good support system with friends, family, medical team, which our team is amazing. And we're gonna give a plug to the Leukemia Lymphoma Society, the LLS.
Yep.
So the LLS website is www.lls.org, and they actually have a page just for Hodgkin lymphoma. Just type in lls.org/lymphoma/Hodgkin lymphoma, and it will take you to all the information for that.
Yeah.
So the LLS actually helped us a lot because they would actually help us financially too. They sent us a lot of information. They would check in on us. The day I got diagnosed, we left the hospital, and our nurse navigator, Corey, said, hey, the LLS is sending you a check.
Yeah.
I forgot for how much off the top of my head, but enough.
Yeah.
They sent me a check for a significant amount of money. I'm like, oh, yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
And then periodically, I just get a random check.
Yeah.
Here's some money. And they've actually, still to this day, I'm in their grant program that helps with bills.
Yeah.
Medical bills, obviously.
Yeah. To a certain degree.
Yeah.
During cancer treatments, there are stipulations, but during cancer treatment, they help pay towards chemotherapy,
testing, blood work,
any testing, PET scan, CT, blood work, port flush, anything like that. If it's just a doctor visit, they don't cover that, which is fine because in the grand scheme of things, a doctor visit is not that much compared to
all the other things
happening. Yeah. So they really just help take a load off of you.
Yeah.
And because, I know you were freaking out about it and I was freaking out in my head, but just telling you it's going to be fine. Yeah. We're going to figure it out. That, how are we going to pay for these bills? Yeah. Because at the time we were a 1-income family and you had only been at this job for 5 years. 4
years.
4 years. Yeah. So we didn't know.
They could have easily just gave me the boot.
Right.
They could sorry, guys.
We didn't know. They seemed like a good company, but, you don't really know until you're in the weeds.
And they stepped up royally.
Yes. So, fortunately, you also have really good insurance. So between that and then the LLS.
And the GoFundMe that was started.
I started a GoFund, which your cousin Ashley had suggested that we do. And I don't like asking people for money.
I didn't want to do it at all. I was like, you know what? It is what it is.
But then I thought, you know what? Because she was like, people want to help and, they just don't know how.
Yeah.
And so I was like, she's right. And, because to a point, it's like there's only so much food people can make you. Mm-hmm. And then I have no room in my fridge for a lot of food. And really the help you need other than, emotional support is financial support, And
we got a lot of help from my family too. Your family, my family.
Both families.
Your mom was here with us during the most, I think, all of it.
From the
start to the last.
Yeah, from the beginning. She had things she had to take care of first before she could come up. But she was here from the very first chemo session.
Yep. And my mom was here day and night as well.
Yeah.
She would sit here with me while you had to go grocery shopping or do this and that. She would just sit with me.
So
half the time I'd fall asleep. Unfortunately, during chemo, you tend to just fall asleep, and people, you guys all respected it. Like when I fell asleep, I was like, okay, shut up, Dad's asleep, or
because you have to.
And then that's the other thing that they taught me early on was sleep when you can get it.
Yeah.
Because at night, half the time I didn't sleep.
Right.
And hence why another perk about work was my sleep schedule just got ruined because I couldn't sleep.
Yeah.
So I told my boss, I was like, hey, when I was able to come back to work my doctor cleared me to work a little bit. I was like, hey, to my boss, Chris, I can't sleep at night. He goes, what do you want to do? And I was like, I'm up at 2:00 every day. He goes, you want to work from 2 to 8, 2 to 10, 2 to 9?
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. He goes, just do your shift and then do your hours and then just clock out.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay. So I mean, most of my chemo, I worked from 2 a.m.
Yeah.
to 7 or
and
whatever.
as long as there was work to do.
And there was always work to do.
Yeah. So fortunately, at the time, there was work.
And I guess in the grand scheme of things, that showed them that I was legit, that I care about this job and I value them.
Right.
Then they decided to promote me. I got back from... Before I was cleared to come back to the office in person, I got promoted.
Yeah. So one thing I will say is that, if you're going through something like this, whether, if you've just been recently diagnosed, or if you're not even have cancer, but going through a hard time, death in the family or whatever it is, just have a good support system.
Mm-hmm.
Like if people are asking how can they help you, let them help you. Because a lot of people take it as like a pride thing that they want to do it themselves.
Yeah.
They say, oh no, I can handle it. I got it covered. But really, and you may be able to physically, but emotionally and mentally, whatever you're going through, that's going to drain quicker than your physical self.
Yeah, it is.
So you need to have, if people are offering to help you, you need to accept the help.
Yeah.
Because nobody can do it by themselves.
No, not at all.
And I will tell you that the hardest part for me was the day-to-day. It was, in the middle, getting you to bed and for getting you to be able to sleep in a comfortable position, because when it was starting and you kept having these episodes of fainting, we figured out that because your lymph node was so swollen, until that swelling went down, you would sleep on your side with your arm up. So you were inadvertently cutting off your circulation. It was pushing on your carotid artery. That's what was making you faint.
Yep.
And it was tanking your blood pressure.
Yep.
So you had to learn to sleep on your back.
Yep. I now sleep on my side now, but with my arm down.
Yeah.
I have my position.
So getting back into sleeping on your side so that way you could get rest.
Yeah.
You had to keep working at it and figuring out what position was going to work, so that way you didn't do that again.
Yep.
Because it's a scary thing to see your spouse or whoever it is, faint and black out when you know the cause and you can't do anything about it, really.
Yeah.
So yeah, I suggest have a good support system. If people offer help, take it, no matter what it is, whether it's food, finance, or just coming to clean your house.
Yeah.
That's one thing that I was really appreciative of is, your mom would come and clean the house.
On my chemo days, she would come and clean the house.
She would come and clean the house for me.
And they watched the dogs for 3 months.
The dogs for 3 months.
They live with them.
Until, we felt you were at a point that we could handle them coming back.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know how you were going to react to the chemo, because everybody's different.
Yeah.
Everybody's body reacts differently.
And we want to get a good schedule. Like, okay,
a rhythm.
This is what's gonna happen. This is happening. This is happening. And then once we got that down pat, like we can bring the push back.
Yeah. So we needed to know how things were gonna go.
Yeah.
And so we wanted to get a few chemo sessions under our belt before we brought them back. And fortunately, your side effects were not as bad as some people's.
Yeah.
But like I said, everybody's body reacts differently. The worst thing for you was the fatigue and the mouth sores.
Yeah. And the neuropathy in my hands.
The neuropathy. But the mouth sores, we figured that out pretty quickly.
As soon as I felt it coming on, you made my little concoction cocktail and clean it up. I mean, only 2 days. It would last 2 days. And
it wasn't really that bad. At first it was, but then once we figured it out, after that, it never really, we got it before it got too bad.
Well.
And then the fatigue. But, most people, they are vomiting and nauseous all the time. And
Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't get that. I got nauseous one day. We talked about that yesterday. Just one time I got nauseous, but that was it.
Yeah. So you were fortunate with that. You kind of skated that a little bit.
The harsh ones.
So, yeah, the harsh ones.
But yeah, we survived and
we're still
here. Still plugging along.
Yeah.
We did a couple podcast episodes during chemo. Mm-hmm. That was fun too. It kept me occupied.
Yep.
And I would watch The Basement Yard. Every Tuesday at chemo, I'd watch The Basement Yard. So Joe and Frankie were always there with me.
And I would not let you watch the episode that made you faint.
Until recently.
And
it's still hysterical.
Yeah. We
got to show Nana that clip.
Oh, God, no.
She might like it.
No.
She has to watch it. That's the clip that saved my life. We have to show it to her. But maybe later we'll show it to her.
Maybe later.
All right. So the website for the LLS is www.lls.org. And there's a cool thing that they do every year. And I made it a goal to do it last year. It's called Light the Night. They do a walk every year. I forgot how long the distance is, but it's a fundraiser.
It's like 1.5 miles.
And they do it at night because
that's why it's called Light the Night.
Well, when you go through chemo, we can't be in the sun.
Right.
Because we burn instantly. One day I got sunburned going to the mailbox.
Yeah.
I got a sunburn. And that's 10 yards away.
Yeah.
So you can't be in the sun. So last year we did ours in West Palm Beach. We surprised my entire family because they told us they were going to do it in my honor down there. So we went down there and surprised them. And then after that we went to Disney. I want to thank you girls for being an amazing support system for me. So I took you girls to Disney. And that was heavy.
Yeah.
But it was a good time. Hopefully we could do the Light the Night walk this year, but I don't think we're going to be anywhere near it. Unfortunately, the weekend that they're doing it, but I need to look into what other weekends they're doing it and try to see if we could link up with another one.
Yeah.
But with that being said, that's our anniversary episode for when I finish chemo.
Yeah.
So thank everybody for listening to us. Thank you, hun, for taking care of me because all I wanted was attention. I figured give myself cancer.
Yeah.
Thanks, Sophia.
There's easier ways to get attention.
Thanks, Sophia, for being there for me. Your mom, my entire family, my aunts, my uncle, my dad. I mean, the relationship with me and my dad changed drastically once I got sick. I saw him more during cancer than I had in the 2 years prior. I mean, the guy was here literally every month.
Yeah.
I would stay for like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So go home for 2 weeks and come back for 2 weeks. Go home, come back, go home.
Yeah.
I mean, it was insane, but yeah, he stepped up big time. And my friends and my family and my job, my boss, my team at work, they all stepped up and they like me. They keep me around, I guess. And you love me apparently because you keep me around too.
Yeah, let's keep you around a little bit longer.
So
I gotta get that life insurance.
Yeah. I gave you all that stuff before one of my surgeries. I was like, here's this, and this, and this. If anything happens, you have all the stuff. So I'm not gonna promote our stuff. I don't care about our Instagram or our emails. Just go to www.lls.org.
Yep.
Leukemia Lymphoma Society.org.
Yep.
There's pages on there to donate.
Yes.
If you could donate money, because that helps everybody who's going through this trash. Also, I think in there's an article that you wrote about my story. So you can type in Andres Hernandez, ANDRES HERNANDEZ. It should pop up. I don't remember now.
Yeah, I don't know if it's still on there. I don't know how long they keep them on there.
Yeah.
But there are stories on there for survivors and
I'm about to check right now.
People that have gone through it. So
I'm about to check right now. I'll type in my name. So yeah, if you actually go to ls.org and type in Andres, ANDRES, I'm the second one there. You see my silly self ringing the bell. There's an Andre number 1, and then number 2 is Andres, me. So feel free to look at it, read the story that Kelly wrote. She wrote into them, and it's a nice one. So with that being said, we're gonna sign off. Go to www.lls.org. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yep.
Thank you guys.